This episode of Stories from the Shed is brought to you in Spanish by pressing the SAP button on the bottom left of your phone.
Buenos noches, amigos.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Shed.
I'm so glad you didn't start with "and." That made me so happy. That made me so happy.
Hello and welcome back to Stories from the Shed. My name is Adam, and with me again this week, a man that's going to spend his weekend weed smoking and rear naked choking. Jake, how's it going?
How dare you assume my weekend?
Oh, I know your weekend.
You don't understand me. You don't even know me. We're just two random people that met, and now we're doing a show together.
Who's this stranger in my shed?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who is it? Why am I in this stranger's shed? Hold on, I'm going to leave.
What are we even doing?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to sit right here.
Might as well. We're here now. It's Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we drink these two beers together?
And it's time for another episode of Stories from the Shed. We're going to crack Look at this. Cracking our beers on time. This never happens.
I know.
Oh,
either we crack
boy.
them beforehand or we crack them too late.
I'm getting excited. There's joy in my heart.
These glasses are beautiful.
Oh, my
These
God.
cans are beautiful.
I feel like I'm going to have a fucking seizure with all these colors.
I know.
Jake, hold me up.
No.
No.
You're way over there. How am I supposed to do that?
Today we're drinking Sunday River Brewing Company's Mountain Mama IPA.
Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama.
Now this baby it's in Hunter Safety Orange and some kind of fancy purple can.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's coming in at a 6%, and I'm about to take a big swig off this here.
Oh, I like that.
This is so good, it makes me want to slap my grandma. I love it.
Wow.
I'm so violent.
I know. What's going on
What
here?
is wrong with me?
What is wrong with you today? You've been so energetic.
I'm full of energy. I'm ready to do the podcast. This is great. We've got a lot of good stuff going on.
What are you giving the beer?
Oh, shit. Let me take another sip. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers, sir. It's Friday.
To your health.
To my health? That's why I'm drinking so much.
That's right.
This is better than the twisted teas we were drinking earlier.
Yes. This baby's getting a 4.
I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4. Oh, baby.
I got to spoil it for some people.
Mountain fucking mama.
Well, I got to spoil it.
Why?
We drank a couple of these last night.
Jake. They don't know that.
Well, now they do.
Now they do.
Now they do.
Either way.
We had them for the first time last night. They're good.
And if you
Trust
like
us.
our reviews and you trust our judgment, try the Mountain Mama IPA by Sunday River Brewing Company.
Also, you're absolutely crazy if you trust our judgment.
Crazy if you don't.
That's also
We're drinking good stuff all the time.
That is also true, except for twisted tea.
That's the old go-to.
It is. It really, really is.
Jake, we're here on another Friday, so how was your week?
Oh, dude, it went from awful to really, really good, actually. I started the week off with having to say goodbye to a really good friend. Moved across the country.
Yeah.
And then by Friday, I'm not going to say I've gotten over it, but I've moved past it because you can't just sit here and lament about things that you have no control over.
Now, this friend was Sarah that was on the
art episode, and then she did another episode with us.
Diane Schuler.
Was it Diane
Yep.
Schuler?
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody we've known for a few years, and definitely wish her luck.
You've known her a few years. I've known her since
A lifetime.
I was
You've known her a lifetime.
11, 12,
definitely wishing her
you know.
luck out west, out in
Oh, absolutely.
Washington.
So
Good
shout
luck.
out to Sarah when you hear this.
Big shout out, yes, and we expect a big shout out back from
and some
Washington
pictures
State and some
of
pictures.
the trip and all the fun
Of
stuff.
course.
But yeah, it started off that way, and then by Friday, everything's been good. Everything's all set. How was your week?
Chaotic. Control chaos. And I'm happy it's Friday. I don't even want to talk about that shit.
Yeah, we're done with that.
Work, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Get it out,
Yeah, exactly.
We're
I
sending
agree.
those vibes out the shed door, which is open tonight.
I know. This is the first night that the shed door actually gets to be open. It's really, really nice.
We love our California listeners, but we know that they would be cold right now in the
Oh my
shed.
God, how cold is it outside? Like 50?
And I'll tell you what,
Oh my God, it's so cold.
I'm out here in the shed in my shorts. I'm showing my legs.
You've got beautiful legs.
I do. They need to be shaved, I guess, if I'm going to be modeling them. But
Well, no, the whole point of men having their legs exposed is to have hair on them, isn't it?
I got fucking burly legs.
Well, you don't have
And
a
they're
swimmer's body.
exposed. No,
you don't
that's
exactly
for
have a
damn sure.
swimmer's body.
What do they call it? A dad bod? I sit around drinking beer all the time.
Well, you said it, not me.
Wow, if the shoe
I
fits.
I can't judge your body.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I won't judge you or shame you in any way.
So I'm happy to be back here.
Me too.
We've got a pretty interesting topic again this week. Another local one, fairly local. It's in the state again.
Yeah, it's in Maine.
We're going to be doing I think we're going to be reaching out rather, and doing other episodes from other states. But these local episodes are so easy because it seems like the people that are emailing us are mostly local people.
Yeah, and what's kind of nice too is the stories that we've been doing. We don't know a whole lot about them, and as was the case with the ACS episodes we just dropped, I don't know, maybe a week or so at this point. We happen to know people who were directly involved or knew the people who did it or were friends or whatever, and it's really awesome to be part of that.
Watch this. I'm going to try something. Megan in California, you know who you are. We want an idea from California, from where you live.
Oh my God, it's Los Angeles. There's so many.
We want an
stories.
idea. Email us, Megan, sftspodcast@gmail.com. We're waiting for it, Megan. We're counting on you.
And if you can get us a picture of the game's Bugatti, I'd be really excited.
Yes.
Really excited. But anyway.
Yes, anyway. So what is our topic tonight, Jake?
We're doing a story on Mrs. Amy St. Laurent.
Yes, or Saint Laurent, depending.
Saint Laurent. Excuse me.
Well,
is that the French pronunciation?
Fancy French name.
Oh, okay. I don't even know if I said that word right.
Saint Laurent,
pronunciation,
like the beautiful river in Canada.
Oh, I didn't know it was a river.
So, like we said earlier, it's another story here in Maine. It's going to take place in southern Maine, in Portland.
In Portland.
Yes. So Amy St. Laurent. I don't know, Jake. Where would we start with this? Well, she was a young 25-year-old woman. She had finished high school. Mm-hmm. She had taken a few years off between high school and college because she couldn't really figure out exactly what she wanted to do. And to be honest, Jake, don't you agree that it's kind of absurd to ask an 18-year-old what they want to do anyways?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And wasn't she 25 at the time?
She was 25.
I'm 26, and I still don't know what the fuck I want to do with my life.
Yeah, right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
But she's taking some time off.
Right.
But she was a smart girl.
I'm sorry, Adam. I'm going to try this standing up thing. I'm going to try to extend the use of this this mic stand we got here. We're going to see how this works.
See how that goes. Yeah, you might be more comfortable standing up.
Well, not only that, but I think I'm going to have an easier time staying awake. I know the last one of the last episodes we did, I had a really, really hard time focusing because I'm sitting there and I'm like 4 beers deep and I'm like nodding off. So I'm hoping the standing up thing's going to help me.
So Amy, right?
Amy, yep.
She had she'd gone to Florida 3 weeks prior to her disappearance to visit a friend.
Okay.
While she was down there in Florida, she had met a gentleman named Jason Brackman.
Okay.
Now Jason Brackman, they had, become friendly, had a good time while she was on her trip, but she came back to Maine.
Yep.
And he had asked her if he could come up to visit her, shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Now, at first, she was kind of reluctant to do so because she didn't really know the guy.
Right.
But nonetheless,
So how did they meet? Was she down in Florida?
Yeah, she went down to Florida to visit a friend, and she had met Jason down there.
Okay.
And so Jason says, all right, well, he's asking her, can I come up to Maine to visit you? I mean, why wouldn't, I could see the intrigue.
Yeah, but they haven't known each other all that long. I can understand the intrigue, but at the same time, why would she invite someone she barely knows to stay at her house?
So, exactly, so Amy is reluctant. But after a while, she kind of gives in.
Okay.
And, Brackman ends up coming up to Maine.
Yeah, okay.
Now, he's up, I want to say it's that same day or maybe the following day. They ended up going to visit museums in Boston.
Yep.
I don't know how they got there. Probably took the train or what have you.
Maybe they got on Amtrak.
But that evening, they're back. Now, she lived in South Berwick, which is about 40 minutes outside of Portland. But that night, they had gone to the Old Port, which for those folks...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jake, for those that are not from here, why don't you describe the Old Port? What do you describe
Okay, well...
the Old Port?
Well, okay, I'm going to describe it maybe in a way that most people wouldn't agree with, but I am not a huge fan of the Old Port, and... I'm sorry, if you hear the weird background noise, it's me trying to adjust this microphone. I'm not a huge fan of the Old Port. I'm not a huge fan of the club scene. So it's basically a place where you go and get stupid fucking drunk and then call an Uber to drive you home.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, it's not fun. But to other people are super into that.
Well, for those that like the party, so basically what it is it's an area of Portland, which is the largest city.
Yeah,
in the state of Maine.
you can bar hop and hang out and do the young people thing.
Yeah, bar after bar after bar, and there's it
yes,
does have.
They know what bar hopping is.
Well, it's a beautiful place though. It's right on the ocean. It's right in Casco Bay. It's really a cool place.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful there. But I wouldn't be caught dead there.
Right. And I'm the same. I mean, I'm not one to go do. I'd rather drink in a shed.
That was a joke that deserved way more than it got.
But I don't have the fucking. You have the fucking control.
And this
of that
is
shit.
the problem because now I'm
sit
standing
the fuck
up.
down.
No.
But anyway, so it's one of these places that
reach.
young people will go and hang out, and so they're kind of out doing that kind of thing in the Old Port.
There.
Thank you.
I can reach now.
So they end up going to a pool hall.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly which one this is.
Maybe it was. I'm just speculating. Maybe it was Binga's.
I mean, it could be. I
Sports
mean, I've
bar
gone
type
down
of
there a
thing.
few times in my younger years,
Right.
But there's just a lot of that kind of shit going on there.
I'm not. Just to clarify, I'm not saying they went to Binga's. I'm just saying the last time I went to Binga's when I was
It could have been
19
down
or 20 or whatever it was. I don't fucking remember. They had pool tables and different shit like that.
Yeah, I've been to Binga's. Yeah, it could have been a place like Binga's, maybe even Binga's. It's in the area.
Right.
Check them out if you haven't been there because they're great.
Yeah, and they have really good food. I'm not gonna lie.
Delicious food.
You don't go to the club to eat food, but I'm fat and it is what it is.
But anyway, so they end up there at a pool hall, and at this pool hall, this is when they meet Jeffrey Ross Gorman and a friend. Now, these are people.
Isn't he the roast master, Jeffrey Ross?
He should be.
No, I think the roast master's name is literally Jeff Ross.
We might be roasting this guy in a minute here.
Maybe.
So they go there. They meet Jeffrey Ross Gorman, and a friend, and they start playing pool.
Okay.
As the night goes on, and what it sounds like to me is like Brackman's there with Amy St. Laurent, and she's kind of paying attention to all three of these guys.
Wait, what other three guys?
Well, there's
Jeffrey and his friend,
and
the guy she went with, Jason.
That's right, the guy that she went with.
Yep.
So they go there, and they're talking to those guys as they're playing pool, and they say, well, they make plans to kind of meet up with them at a club later on that night. And then this is kind of a place for dancing. Now, Brackman isn't much of a dancer, so he's kind of sitting down, just kind of chilling, probably playing with his phone or something.
Drinking beer.
Of course, I'm sure.
Wait a minute, this was back in 2001. What is he playing with, his Motorola Razr?
He's playing fucking Tetris or something. But.
Yeah, right, on his Nokia.
So at some point, I think he goes to the bathroom or something, but he gets separated from St. Laurent.
Yeah, I think he went to the bathroom and he came back and she had left.
Yeah, so Amy St. Laurent and her friend, they become separated. Now, she's still accompanied by Gorman and his friend.
Yeah, they went to another bar in Portland, and then they ended up at Gorman's apartment. And apparently Gorman had like 4 other people.
Well, Gorman promised her a party, I believe. Gorman said there's going to be an after party at my place.
Yeah, and then there wasn't really much of a party. And after about a half an hour, she asked to be dropped back off at the Old Port so she could go meet up with Jason so she could get a ride home.
Yeah, she fucking left this guy there.
Yeah,
I mean, they got separated, but
yeah. Well, number one, you go bar hopping with someone and then you just ditch them. That's kind of cool. And oh, by the way, she left her purse and her jacket in his car.
Yeah, because at this time, Jason Brackman's like, he's looking for her,
right?
Because they took off. He goes to her car. He notices that all of her stuff is still in the car,
right?
And he leaves her a note. This is what's kind of going on at this time.
Where does he leave her a note? On his car that she's not going back to?
Well, she doesn't know that. He doesn't know that.
Well,
he doesn't know where she is. He assumes that she must have gotten
a
ride from somebody else because...
Okay, but you said he left her a note. Where did he leave her a note?
With the vehicle. Oh, no, I believe he took the vehicle home. He left her a note at her house.
Okay, because I was going to say, why would he leave a note on his vehicle that he's going to drive home?
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Right. Okay. So either way.
To go back to where you were, though,
right.
she
asked Gorman to bring her back to the Old Port, and they left the apartment at about 2:30 in the morning. She went back to the Old Port, tried looking for Jason, supposedly is the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As told by Gorman, but we'll get into that later. But basically, she wasn't seen alive much after that, huh, Jake?
Gorman drops her off in the Old Port, supposedly, and later on he gets pulled over by himself.
Really?
Yeah, supposedly. He was pulled over by a Westbrook police officer for driving with his high beams on. That's kind of weird. It's 3 a.m. Why wouldn't you want your high beams on? Why would they pull him over for that? Was he directly in town, maybe?
Well, I think when you have oncoming traffic, you're supposed to dim your high beams.
Who the fuck is driving at 3 a.m.?
Well, it's a cop doing a safety check. Either way. But Westbrook, for those that are not from here, is a city that's
like,
right next to Portland.
Yeah. It's maybe 5 miles out of Portland.
Yeah, it's kind of a connecting area. So he's kind of in that same Portland
Maybe
area.
headed back to his apartment.
And now when was this? The time of the stop, I believe, was between 3:14 a.m.
It's a very specific time.
Well, the police, they take note of this until 3:22 a.m. after, the Gorman was allowed to proceed towards the Portland area.
Okay.
So that just kind of take note of that time. Now, after St. Laurent was reported missing...
When was she reported missing? The next morning?
This was a couple of days after. So what happens is...
Okay, so why was it a couple days after?
Well, that's a great question. So what ends up happening is... Well, I guess we could take it to... There's different scenarios to start with. We could take it right to the friend coming up from Portland, Brackman. So this guy, when he leaves the club to kind of take it to the night... He gets in her car, and now he doesn't, this guy's coming out from Florida. He doesn't know the area. No, he knows that she lives in South Berwick and that they're in Portland and that South Berwick is south. Seems like a fairly intelligent guy. He uses the vehicle, starts driving south, gets to the 95, Jake.
The 95.
The 95. What happens there? He has to get on, and he does not have exact change.
Yeah, and he just kind of gives change. Oh, no, he kind of sweet talks his way in. Say he just gives him a handful of change, but I think that's what I normally do when I don't have the money for the toll. I just give you a handful of change and...
Look, I've had a shitty night. My dates dumped me. I'm not from here.
Yeah, right. Just help me get to where I need to go.
Help me where I got to go. And somehow maybe he had it in the GPS, but he made his way back to her house. Now,
was GPS big in 2001?
I think they had it. It was maybe a Garmin or some shit, but
maybe.
But anyway, so he makes his way back to her place, and like a guy that now the police thought this was kind of awkward, and I can see why they would, but to me it's not so weird. This guy does not go into her house. He just doesn't feel comfortable going into somebody's house when they're not there, and I gotta agree with that, Jake. Do you?
Yeah, that makes total sense. If you're not at your house, you bet your ass I'm not just gonna barge my way in. You know what I mean? Come on.
And it was towards the end of summer here in Maine. Well, I guess it was in October, so nights were kind of cool but comfortable.
Yeah, kind of like about what it is now.
What it would be right now. So he spent the night in the car, and I think he did put a note on her door.
Yeah,
this is the note.
And it was basically, "What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Why did you leave me?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, Amy, she has a great job. Even though like we had stated, she's taken a break between high school and college. She got a job at Pratt & Whitney.
What is that?
They make airplane parts.
Ooh.
Yes, and they pay very well.
Okay.
So she had kind of an administrative desk job, so kind of off to a good... And she was a very hardworking person, so for her to be a no-call, no-show, unlike you, Jake... It's very much a shock.
Excuse me. How dare you? I always call in when I'm faking being sick or not.
He always calls in when he's hungover.
Yeah, you don't fucking rat me out. This is going on air. How dare you? Now I'm in trouble.
All kidding.
I'm glad I'm standing.
So it's unusual for her to not show up for work, and it's unusual for her family to not hear from her. And like any other person that's in contact with people that she cares about, people are starting to become concerned about Amy. And people are calling the police and family members and stating, she's a missing person. But Jake, what happens when you report a missing 25-year-old?
They're going to look at you and say, well, guess what? She could have moved cross country and not said anything to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, you're 25. You have the right to do whatever the hell you want.
Right.
It's not like a missing child where they're going to look, oh, it's a missing child. We got to...
Yeah, well, a missing child is totally different. I guess in the eyes of the law, a child can't really fend for themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's okay. So in that case, you're gonna look harder for a 10-year-old than you are an 18-year-old, just because an 18-year-old is legally an adult, although they're still really a child when you think about it. But they can fend for themselves.
Right, and a 25-year-old woman's a 25-year-old woman.
Right.
Especially an independent one like Amy that was going to take trips to Florida
and
hold a great job and kind of do what she wanted to do, for sure.
Exactly. She seemed to have her life together.
Within a short period of time, flyers started popping up all over the area.
Yeah, so their flyer went out all throughout Portland and the surrounding area. 2 days later, the flyer was put out on October 20th. So October 22nd, a man who was with St. Laurent on that day.
Yes.
Saw it, contacted police, and told them what had happened on late Saturday evening and early Sunday morning. He said that he was looking for her before driving back to her house to wait. She never arrived home, so he spent the night in the vehicle, not being comfortable with going into her house. That must have been Jason.
Also, yeah, right, and also Jeffrey Ross Gorman contacted the police saying that basically the story that you had stated earlier that she came back to my place.
Right.
I dropped her off at the old port.
Oh, okay.
And that was...
Okay, in his words. Let me
in
just
his
point,
words,
no,
like you said earlier.
In his words,
Yeah.
Gorman told police that he met St. Laurent in the old port, had taken her back in the apartment, looking to score, like some Beavis and Butthead shit.
Looking to score.
Yeah, that was actually really good. He had gone back to a bar in the old port where he dropped her off and look for her friend and then returned to the apartment. In his interview, he didn't mention his contact with the Westbrook police, and he refused a police request to search his vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell somebody, hey, look, sounds like I'm the last person to see this woman alive, they're going to ask follow-up questions like, can we check your vehicle?
No.
But Jake, people that have nothing to hide nothing. If I was with somebody and they disappeared, I'd be like, you know what? I didn't do anything. Search my fucking vehicle. Get my name off your fucking suspect list ASAP.
Right.
I'm going to cooperate with the police in this one.
So can we get your name off of the suspect list and onto maybe the beer break list, possibly?
Let's get it on to the beer break list.
All right. And here we are.
We're back.
Back from the beer break. I haven't finished my beer yet.
No.
Okay,
we're still drinking beer, Jake.
Yeah, but I don't think we stopped drinking beer when we're in here.
Never.
I'll be honest with you.
Never. We're not quitters.
Never.
Where are we with this story?
Never. Well, before we get back into the story, we took some time during the beer break to look at the Facebook page, and I just wanted to share a couple of the really, I guess, interesting comments that we had here. Maybe. All right, I changed my mind.
You changed your mind?
Never mind. They were funny in the moment. Anyway.
So where are we with the St. Laurent story?
Well, we remember Gorman got stopped by the police. Then he called a number on the poster that was put up or the flyer that was put up, right?
Right.
And the police asked to search his vehicle, and he said, fuck off, basically. The next day after he told the police to fuck off, you're not looking at my vehicle. Sorry, I'm adjusting my mic. He drove his vehicle to an auto sales business where he and his mom's boyfriend worked. He arrived at about 15 minutes before they closed and decided that he was going to clean the inside of his car. He told his mom's boyfriend...
told his mother's boyfriend that a friend was borrowing the car for the next day.
Thank you for that slick
and that's why he was cleaning it. And this was unusual for Gorman because he kept his car like a fucking pig.
Ew.
No, I mean, and I know
Ew.
my profanity, but he was one of these guys that left all this,
Watch
bottles and fast food. You've gotten into people's car where you're like, you open their door and you're like, all right, dude, where am I supposed to sit? Because we got all kinds of fucking trash here that's been collecting for the last 9 months.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. I cleaned a little Fiat 500, and for everyone who knows a little bit about cars, a Fiat's a tiny fucking car. That car was stacked from floor to about the windows with Wendy's.
Yeah, well, that's
just
Gorman.
bags, like food. That's disgusting.
Gorman maybe wasn't that bad, but he kept his car filthy like that. So even just him cleaning his vehicle is like, wow, what are you going on a date with a honey?
Yeah, well, apparently his friend was borrowing the car to go on a date or something.
Yeah, and that's what he told his mother.
Right. So he told his coworker that same night that he may be implicated, quote unquote, in St. Laurent's disappearance, but he had nothing to do with it.
That's just a weird...
That's a weird thing to say if you're not guilty.
Thing to say. Some time passes, though. Now, in November of 2001, Gorman told a friend that he had
about 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 weeks later. Gorman just keeps talking about it. Tells another friend that he had no role in St. Laurent's disappearance. That he stated that he could not... That they're not going to find her body. They have no evidence. Now, that's kind of a weird comment to say. To go from, I have nothing to do with this...
They're not going to find her body.
They're not going to find her. Why?
Okay, Mr. fucking implicating yourself. What are you doing?
Why would you say that?
Why would you say a dumb shit like that?
And he continues on, Jake. I mean, you did some homework on some conversations he had with others.
Yeah, he had a couple conversations with a former girlfriend about it. The first conversation, which took place on the day that St. Laurent disappeared, he told his former girlfriend about meeting St. Laurent and that after bringing her to the apartment, he had dropped her off downtown. He had heard that she was missing and said it was a weird coincidence, quote unquote.
So he's telling her the same story he told the police.
Right.
Okay.
So in the next phone call, he told his former girlfriend that he had not dropped St. Laurent off, as he originally said, but that his two friends that I'm assuming lived with him. Or
yeah, his roomies.
At the house. Okay. Had taken her and dropped her off at the old port. He stated that when his friends returned after 3 hours, they had blood on their hands. Are you projecting?
I think
what
so.
It sounds
That's
like.
kind of weird.
But
Not
anyway,
me.
So they had blood on their hands. So he stated that his friends had threatened to keep him quiet and made him go to the cops. He called his former girlfriend a third time after the body was discovered, and he told her that a couple of days after the murder, his friends had asked him for a good spot to hide her body. He said that he told them about the place in the woods behind his mom's house, which is what? Anyway, there was a place behind his mom's house where her body was found. It was what?
Eventually,
like 300
yeah.
feet away.
Yeah, well, it's going to be found in the future. But basically, what he's doing, because I know we're not, instead of forecasting the ahead of this story.
It seems like he's trying to create a story around something he did.
He's basically saying what he did, but putting it was my friends that did this, and this is what they said, kind of a thing. It's like,
right.
Gorman, shut the hell up.
Oh, I'm just asking for a friend.
What are you, the worst criminal? Are you the worst murderer? You're an fucking asshole.
He's like O.J. Simpson. If I had done it, I would write a book about it.
That goes after like some young girl,
right.
and then he's just a dick. Keep going.
I don't like him, Adam says.
I just don't like this guy.
Yeah. So there was a spot behind his mom's house where kind of had a pond behind there, and he'd go fishing a lot. So he told his friends, just go bury her there, according to him.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So if anybody finds a body there, it just wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I just happened to know that it was there.
Hey. You know.
I was just complicit. And you know what's weird? Now that I'm thinking about it, if he's telling his friends go hide her there, he's fucking complicit. So even if he didn't do it,
he's an accessory.
He's an accessory to a murder.
Why is he going around talking about it? So why the fuck would you say
that? Why would you implicate yourself like that? You idiot.
It's so crazy, you know.
Anyway, so her body was found on December 8th, 2001, so about a month or so, or about
a month and a half
after she disappeared. Yeah. She was buried in a wooden area 0.3 of a mile from his mom's house, Gorman's mom's house, near the pond where Gorman had been spotted fishing, was known to fish at, whatever.
Boy, that's a smart guy. Why don't we bury somebody where I go hang out?
Yeah, that's a really great idea. But I'm not involved, by the way.
Yeah, right. Just by chance.
Yeah, the cause of death not disclosed until March of 2002 was a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah, so basically
someone had shot her probably point blank.
What the police and the authorities, what had happened that day that they had found her was that the Maine warden service had been out there with dogs, and now these guys are trained to identify abnormalities. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, Jake? Like if there's a hole that's been freshly dug and a body put there, the ground is soft. Right. It's just not normal hard earth. And these guys, they know what to look for. And they had some dogs, like I said.
Is it normal flat earth?
It's normal flat earth.
It's normal flat earth.
Normal flat stuff.
We are flat earthers here.
We're flatters. The shed is flat.
You know what's funny? And I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but there was a car that came through the shop today that had a license plate that said it's flat.
Yeah.
Anyways, flat Earth.
So they found her body.
The Earth is flat.
But when they found her, they did not disclose.
I'm just kidding. It's
the fact that she had a single gunshot wound to her head. They did not disclose that. We found her.
Really?
We did not. They only said that they found her body. That they did not say anything about what had happened, and that's very important to take note of.
Okay.
They held on to that information until March of about 2002. There was no evidence other than the positioning of her clothing of a sexual assault. Now, what that was that her shirt was found lifted up, and her underwear was found, I believe, around her ankles.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a sexual assault, an attempt at least, though they did not find any evidence of any kind of a rape or anything. Her body had been exposed for at least 12 to 24 hours before it was buried. So meaning that...
How can they tell that?
It was either put into a trunk or left in somebody's house.
Well, how can they tell that?
I think they can tell by the level of decomposition.
Oh,
temperatures and stuff like that.
Okay.
That, maybe... I'm assuming that that's how that would be. If anybody that's listening knows, let us know about the forensics behind this.
Okay.
What does Gorman do? Like a typical asshole.
Yeah, so to further implicate himself, this stupid guy decides he's going to go back to Alabama.
His home state.
That's where he came from.
Troy, Alabama.
Yeah, so shortly after he goes to Alabama, he confesses to his mom. The police had received information at that point that he had admitted to his mom that he had shot St. Laurent near the pond. His mom was subpoenaed and appeared before a grand jury. And this is where it gets really interesting, because his mom is probably more off her rocker than he is.
What's kind of interesting is he tells his mother, and his mother then, of course, she's hit with all this information, Jake, right?
Right.
So what does she do? Like somebody that's got the burden of this on her, she goes and she lets it off and tells her friends. Now, her friend contacts the Portland police.
And that's when she gets subpoenaed to go
And
before
that's
the grand jury.
where the snowball effect of getting her into having to go to court to testify comes from.
Okay.
Now, of course, I think she realized, I fucked up here.
Yeah, maybe.
She's refusing to testify, and then she's being ordered by a judge to do so.
Well, that's what the subpoena is for.
Yes.
Right. So his mom testified at the grand jury proceedings, assuming the very first proceedings, on February 8th of 2002. She was reluctant to testify, and she told the grand jury that, quote unquote, I've always wanted to tell the truth. I just never wanted to talk. I just wanted the justice system to do their job and let justice be served and leave me out of it, because I certainly don't want to testify in any trial.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to tell the truth. I never wanted to talk. You can't tell the truth and not talk unless you're writing. And even if you're writing, if you're telling the truth about a crime, isn't that considered talking?
To kind of put myself in her position, I had imagined that she was hit with a lot of burden when he confessed this to her. He put a lot on her. And she's probably not an evil piece of shit like her son.
Well, no, probably
and so this
not.
weighed heavy on her heart and on her, and she had to say something. So she wants to say something, but it's very hard to turn your son in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair.
That's probably what that means.
Addressing her conversation with her son, his mom testified under oath that Gorman had called her cell phone on December 9th, 2001. So they did have cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, man.
Are those the days of the Motorola Razr?
Mm-hmm.
Can someone look that up at some point and let us know, please? When did the Motorola Razr come out? Because that was my favorite phone ever. So he called her on her cell phone late night when he needed her love, but we're not going to go there. The day after St. Laurent's body was discovered. So that was so that was the day after. She further testified that during the phone call, Gorman first told her that two other men had killed her and buried the body near her house in order to implicate him. He then changed his story and told her that he had killed her himself. His mom also said that he had taken 4 hits of acid that night.
Ooh. Well, that's 4 more than I took tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for you. I'm very happy for you. I'm just, in my head, I'm just like, well, that's not what I experienced.
I bet you he really did, though. I bet you this is the only bit of truth that he's coming out with.
I'm just saying that's not what I experienced. That while he and St. Laurent were walking by the pond, he had looked at her and seen his mom's face, pulled out a gun and shot her in the head, intending to kill his mom.
Oh, Mom, I meant to kill you.
Wow, what a fucked up conversation. So he tells his mom that he had returned 3 days later and buried the body with a shovel that he had borrowed from her. Oh, by the way, okay. So let me write this out for you, okay? If this is a scene in a movie or whatever, Mom, I meant to kill you, but I killed this random girl, and now she's buried behind your house. What's going through this woman's mind?
A lot, dude.
What would you say?
That's why she had to talk to a friend.
Well, was that why she was on all these different medications? Because later on, she talks about how she was on a bunch of medications and didn't mean half the shit she said. But we'll get to that.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Now, Gorman was indicted and, of course, pled not guilty. His jury trial began in Superior Court on January 13th of 2003. Mm-hmm. That same day, Gorman's mother filed a motion to quash the state subpoena for her to testify in a supporting affidavit claiming a lack of memory of Gorman's confession or her grand jury testimony. So basically what she's saying is, I don't really remember what he said. I just, let's get me out of this. I do not want to testify against my son.
So eventually, after this word that I cannot pronounce, we looked at this word the other day. What is that word?
Voir dire.
Voir dire.
Fancy French. C'est bon.
Which is a preliminary examination of a witness or a juror by a judge or counsel, for those who need to know what that word means, like
me.
Yeah, like both of us.
Like the shit.
So the preliminary examination of her on the issue of competency and careful consideration of the issue with counsel, they decided that her testimony was good.
They denied the motion to quash.
So to TLDR, they decided her testimony was good.
Yes.
When his mom took the stand, she testified about conversations she had with him before and after December 9th and 8th of 2001, including a conversation on December 10th or 11th that resulted in her sending him money. She also testified that before the body had been discovered, he had told her that after a party that never really developed, he had dropped her off at the Portland nightclub and she testified that he had never changed his version of this story. She also testified about her recollection of police interviews with her before the discovery of the body, about events on December 8th when the body was discovered, about her medical condition at the time of the grand jury proceedings. And I think this is where we're going to get into a little bit of the antipsychotics and weird shit she was on, right?
Of course,
I could be wrong.
Because at this point, I mean, she's realizing that she's throwing her son in jail.
She's and I'm sorry, this is going to have a negative connotation. Sorry, it is what it is. But she's not exactly all there, and she admits it. And maybe it's not in these notes. I don't know. But I remember seeing this on the documentaries
we did our
homework.
Watched.
And yeah, exactly. This isn't an art museum. You want to take this over for me so I can drink my beer?
So let's see here. So Jake, anyways, while recalling and testifying about events on December 8th and December 10th, Gorman's mother testified that she had no recollection of her son's December 9th conversation with her or of the grand jury's proceedings. The state repeatedly attempted to refresh her recollection without success with both the transcripts and the audio tape of the grand jury testimony. During this examination...
Oh, so they're playing her and telling her exactly what she said, and she's like, I can't remember?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, yeah. Well, from what she had stated to the police earlier. During the examination, the state asked, if you testified before the grand jury under oath on February 8th, 2002, and you took an oath, did you testify the truth? Now, Gorman's mother responded, absolutely. So
but
how
you
can
can't remember what you said? How do you know if you told the truth if you can't fucking remember what you said? Good question.
I don't know, dude.
Good question.
Thereafter, the court reporter...
Thereafter. That's a big word for you.
Thereafter. The court reporter who had been present at the grand jury
testified to lay the foundation for the admission of the grand jury testimony.
Yes.
The court reporter identified Gorman's mother as having given testimony on February 8th, 2002. I love how that went from like Irish to Donald Trump.
Yeah. Now, he testified that he took down her testimony with his transcript machine and he tape recorded her testimony. He then transcribed the testimony from his recording, his notes, and compared it with the tape recorded testimony. He testified that the transcript and the audio tape were accurately representations of her testimony that day. Okay, so what do we mean with this?
That's a good question.
I think what we mean here is basically that day she told the truth. And now she's pretending like she doesn't recall what she's saying because she's trying to save her son's ass. Now, he further testified that he observed Gorman's mother being administered the oath to tell the truth and being reminded that she remained under oath on February 8th, 2002. Both the audio tape and his notes reflected that she was given the oath.
Okay, so she testified under oath, and now she's changing her story.
She testified under oath, and she told the truth. And then now that she's under oath again, I don't remember any of that.
Oh, okay then. Okay, so this is where we start to see a little bit of what I was talking about. After hearing each side fully and over Gorman's objections, the trial court admitted the grand jury testimony pursuant to the past. Jesus Christ, these are a lot of big words here. What did you copy and paste this off of fucking lawyer.com?
I got it from the subpoena. I work on the legal team at work.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
I'm used to this talk.
Okay, so from what it looks like, the evidence was admitted in court. There had been concerns raised about the accuracy of the grand jury transcript. The trial court, however, allowed the state to play for the jury a redacted audio tape of the testimony rather than read the transcript. So his mom took place over the defense counsel's objections that she was impaired as a result of over-medication with prescription drugs. She was on a bunch of different things.
Of course.
She says that she had a history of delusional behavior and was on psychiatric medications at the
Jake,
time of the phone call.
Jake, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me, Jake. I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's basically what it sounds like. Are you crazy or drunk?
I'm both.
Oh.
Of course I'm drunk.
I don't think you should admit that on the show.
Not me, not now. Not me, not now.
Admit that later. So she was on psychiatric medication at the time of the phone call and that she was experiencing instances of paranoia and psychosis around that time. and that she had a tumultuous relationship with her son that included behavior patterns where they would deliberately say shitty things to each other.
Jake, you're a piece of shit.
I fucking hate you. The show is over. I'm done.
This is it.
I'm done.
I'm not making it to the 100 episodes I promised you.
No.
You're a bad co-host.
This recap is just going to end up with us talking shit about each other. So anyway, they started saying horrible shit about each other, and that was their horrible relationship.
I throw them under the bus because this is the kind of relationship I have with my son.
So to me, they sound like the perfect family.
I love it.
Oh,
not the
great.
Bradys.
It sounds slightly similar to how I grew up, but we're not going to go there.
Now, after a 5-day trial, the jury returned a verdict of guilty of murder.
Good.
Yes. The trial court later sentenced Gorman to 60-year term imprisonment. Mm-hmm. Of course, Gorman filed this appeal. The sentence review panel denied Gorman's application to leave an appeal of his sentence.
No, I have a couple questions about this case, and it's not that he doesn't already look kind of guilty, just the way he implicates himself.
He looks like a Backstreet Boy.
Did they have... Are you saying all Backstreet Boys are guilty?
He looks like Lance Bass.
Does he?
Kind of.
We'll pull up a picture of him, Jamie.
We'll throw that on there.
Yeah, pull that up right now. You have a big screen. Pull it up. Well, I don't need notes to ask you my questions.
Okay, well, keep going while I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, work on that. I legitimately want to see him. I want to see what he looks like. But anyway, I have a question. Did they actually get him on physical evidence? Like, did they find a murder weapon? Did they find... What was their evidence to convict him?
That's very interesting, Jake, because they never found the weapon and they never found the bullet.
Okay, so they just found her body and they used his testimony to convict him.
Well,
which, I mean, I'm sure that builds enough... Obviously, it builds enough of the case. He's in prison. But I was curious if they had found any physical evidence, like any DNA or anything. You know what I mean?
I think the big part that hooked this guy up was that the state police and the local police did not...
Those are all old guys, bro. That one looks like a younger Laurent. Hang on.
The police did not release the information that she was shot. They said they found her body. Now, this guy is telling his mother that he shot her in the head. The only people that would know that would be the killer and the people that found her body. Okay? So when you're giving very specific details, like she was shot in the back of the head, you had to have done it. I mean, how would he have known that?
That's a really good question.
Damn it, I can't find this prick. Okay, this is him when he... Here's a picture.
That is that guy.
Yeah, this is before he cut off his mo cut. He looks like one of the Dumb and Dumber guys. The dumber of the Dumb and Dumber.
He looks like he wants to ride a motorcycle, but doesn't have a license.
Yeah, that's him.
That deserved way more.
Yeah. But anyway, so...
There's the way more.
The
forced laugh. Here we go.
But so Ross Gorman, right? That's basically what they had. I mean, how would you have known that unless you did it? Unless you were there and you did it yourself.
Right.
Now, something that we got to mention here is that they also looked into Amy St. Laurent. They looked at other avenues, too, and these doors closed real quick.
What other avenues are you talking about?
Well, of course, they looked at the guy that came up from Florida,
right,
Brackman. But, I mean, his story lined up so well that even the woman that, like we said earlier, she was able, like, yeah, I remember this guy saying, he didn't have the change, and I just let him on the 95.
Not only that, but what was really funny is we watched this documentary, and I don't remember the name of the documentary exactly, but what's really nice about this podcast is a lot of these cases, there are documentaries, whether they're on YouTube or they're actually out, on TV to watch about these things. The one documentary we had watched, even the investigators were kind of surprised at how truthful he was being. They're looking at him and he's giving all these small details like, yeah, we went to the Old Port, we went to this specific bar. I don't remember exactly which bar it was.
Foreplay.
Was it?
Yes. I've been there too. Great little bar. If you're in the Old Port area, check them out.
Shout out to Foreplay.
Shout out. I love Foreplay.
So, wow. Anyway, so they had gone out that night. Everything was all cool. He goes, I went to go find her after I got out of the bathroom. She wasn't there. I drove to her house. I left her a note. I didn't feel comfortable going in the house. And the more the investigators looked into his story, the more it checked out. They were concerned because it was so detailed initially that it couldn't... You're clearly making something up.
Yeah, if you're giving all these details, we're going to find a fucking hole. It isn't like,
sure.
From here I don't remember this and that. It was this guy.
Right.
He's like I said earlier, he seemed like a very smart guy to me.
Right.
You know, he remembered what he did. I knew that we were to go south, to go back to South Berwick, and he was able to find somebody's house. And he hadn't really, I don't think he'd been to Maine for 2 days yet.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it isn't like they've been driving around for a week.
Yeah, right.
Back and forth to Portland.
Right. He'd come up to visit her, and he just got up from Florida. They were going to go clubbing that night, whatever. But as more details came out, or he gave them more details, everything started to check out, and they were kind of surprised as to how truthful he was being, because if someone's going to come out with all these fine details, you would think it's either they're implicating themselves or they're making something up.
But his story was so perfect that they were able to cross him off the list.
Right.
And now Amy had a boyfriend. I can't remember his name.
Didn't they break up?
They had been together for a very long time.
Yeah, but they had broken up recently.
Right, but they were
before
still,
this.
they seemed like they were still friends. They just grew apart. You know how that could be when you're young. They grew up and grew apart, you know, kind of a thing. But he was in the Portland area, but he was back home, and he lived in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. He was back there with his roommates, and they were able to, you know, verify his information. I mean, there's nothing else but that points to anything except for Jeffrey Ross Gorman, because he gave the evidence. He knew exactly what had happened. Mm-hmm. He is just a dumb criminal. I mean,
kind of what it seems
like. Put it this way,
like.
Jake. I mean, this guy does something. He kills a beautiful young woman, and then he goes and says, "Well, I didn't do it, but this is the details that my friends gave me." And I told them to bury him behind my mom's house.
Yeah, it's okay, guys. Just dig a hole behind my mom's
house.
Don't worry, I got you. Best friends for life.
Where I go fishing. BFF, just like our back tattoos say.
Yeah, basically.
Dumbass.
Yeah, no shit.
I hate this guy. And I'm glad he's in prison. You know what? 60 years in prison
isn't enough
for a stupid asshole like him.
No, I agree.
You know, I was you know, this episode is really kind of annoying me right now, because I'm like, this guy's a dickhead.
He's kind of a dick.
You know, you go to a bar and you take a young woman like this and you pluck her life away.
For nothing.
Why? Because she wouldn't do ya? I mean, that's what it sounded like. Because, you know, but the police did the investigation. It sounded like she put up a hell of a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so it makes me seem like he had tried to force himself on her, but she was able to kind of beat his ass to the point where he had to resort to grabbing a gun to putting a young woman down.
It's totally possible.
Well, I mean, her body was beaten, and he had some marks on him too, that others had noted.
Did he
have
blood on his hands, or did his friends?
I would say
that's a good question, isn't it?
Right. Well, you know, the friend's alibi. Now they even told the police, well, he was gone for 15 minutes, but it seemed more like 2 hours. But his friends are a bunch of drunk assholes, so they couldn't really give a good accurate thing. I mean, this guy, you're gonna move to Alabama? Haven't you listened to Stories from the Shed? Don't you listen to us?
Criminals move away.
You move away. I'm gonna quit my great job and I'm gonna become a cop.
You know what?
And whenever there's a murder, I'm gonna be like, "Who the fuck moved away?"
You know what you do when you murder someone? You stay at your fucking job and you don't leave your house,
and
dummy.
You shut
and you keep your mouth
damn
shut.
Mouth. Shut
Thank
up.
you.
But you know what? Criminals are not smart. Ross Gorman, he's gonna stay here in Maine. He's in a nice place called the Warren Prison, Maine State Pen.
Good. Right where he fucking belongs.
You belong there. I hope you like Reveille.
We have gotten very, very, very aggressive in this episode.
Yeah, and you know what? This is probably a good time to say that we're going to give a shout out to the Amy St. Laurent Foundation. You can get some good information
because you need
on
our
them.
shout out, all 100 listeners.
Well, we love you, everybody that listens. But you know what? Since 2002, Jake, the Amy St. Laurent Foundation has been working to teach women how to be safe in the world and live in through the RAD system. Now, that's Rape Aggression Defense System. Do not rape women. Do not attack women. If you think about it,
rape anybody.
Don't do it. But you know what?
It's not just about women. Don't rape anybody, bro.
This is 2019.
Yeah, but it's
don't rape anybody.
Thank you.
Don't rape anybody. But
I was slightly offended.
Don't abuse anybody. And I'll tell you what, if you're more interested in finding out about this program, this is a great thing because this was a life that didn't need to end.
Absolutely.
So check out www.amystlaurentfoundation.org.
Do they have a donate button, maybe?
I think they do.
Good.
And check them out.
Good.
And if you have a couple extra bucks.
Because like you said, this was a life that was senselessly taken for no reason just because, well, some guy couldn't get his dick wet.
Yeah. And you know what? If you get a couple extra bucks, help them out. And if you get a couple more, we're going to be setting our Patreon up pretty soon.
We are working on that. So that was the smoothest transition to us setting up Patreon that I've literally ever seen.
I'm like butter. I don't taste like butter, but I'm smooth like butter.
No, but you're fattening like butter.
I'm fat like Crisco.
Chris Christio. Anyway.
Chris Christio. So anyways, Jake, you got to little wrap me up on this story here. This was just another good local story of a senseless crime that sucks.
You know, we were talking about this during the break, and I really enjoy our show, and I think you and I have a really good flow. And I love how we can take something that seems so negative, and let's be honest, I've said it multiple times on the show where all the negative stories kind of wear on me, and it gets really hard because every time I come out here on a Friday night, my plan is to have a couple beers, hang out, have fun, whatever, but we're talking about such a negative topic. But for some reason and somehow, and I cannot figure out how we do it, we always seem to have fun, and I always come out of here smiling, and that's a good thing.
We have fun. We joke. We're a couple of young guys, like to drink beer, talk about these things
Speak
in the shed.
for yourself, fucking 33. Get out of here.
Getting older guy.
Yeah.
But
getting older guy.
But we are serious what we say about, we do take these stories seriously.
Right.
And I did check out the Amy St. Laurent Foundation.
Yeah.
I really did. And I'm kind of one of them backwoods kind of guy, so I'm not so much someone that would look at that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's sad, there's people that love this woman.
Yeah,
she
right.
had family.
She didn't
there's a lot of
deserve
people
to die.
Right. There's a lot of people that cared about her, and they still care about her. And this is something to check out because people don't need to be raped and murdered. It's fucked up.
Very, very, very good point. Thank you very much for sharing that information. I don't think anyone on earth has ever thought of that.
Well, you know what? And I'm concerned about our shed people.
Are you?
Yes. Yes. You know what? Check this out. Defend yourself. And I'm ending with that.
And that's that.
That's that. Jake, do you think we should get into our social media?
We can do that.
We can do that.
Let me kind of flex here and go,
while you're flexing, my friend, our Facebook is Stories from the Shed.
It is.
Instagram,
you are correct.
Stories from the Shed podcast.
Yep. Our YouTube is the same thing. And then we have Russian Twitter.
The Russians love us.
Yeah, I understand that, but...
Bresnovania. You can find us at Stories from Shed at Twitter.
Thank you very much. I was getting there. Send us some emails too, guys. Our Gmail is sftspodcast@gmail.com. We are also talking about setting up a Patreon. We've been discussing it. We're talking about different tier levels, how that stuff all works. I'll be honest with you, Adam, I have a really hard time trying to set these up in my head, even just trying to think about it, because to me, it's asking for money for something that I love to do, and it doesn't feel right.
Here's the thing, Jake.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We need to build this show. We would love to make this a full-time thing. We were talking about this the other day, how we want to start doing rides out to these crime scenes and these things that it can be better. We can see where people were unfortunately left, or we can go out and talk to the community and do these different things. We were talking about the other day taking up a ride up to Kim Moreau territory, and then just
making a short video,
right? And then the ACS thing we just released.
We want to give you guys more. We want to give people more.
Right.
Jake and I are two guys that we're just fucking regular guys. We work regular jobs.
Yeah, you guys want to come fucking do body work for me?
Well,
please?
The thing is, we work regular jobs. We got bills. We got lives, and a couple extra bucks or gas in the tank to get us to New Hampshire to make a video about Maura Murray.
Right. Apparently, her car is still at the New Hampshire State. The
police barracks.
Police
yeah,
barracks?
We would love to put out videos for you guys, but we're going to be setting something up here.
Right.
And we're not looking to get rich off this. In fact, we're looking to just grow the show.
Yeah,
we want to put out a better product and more product for you.
That's really it.
And the dinero helps with that.
Oh, absolutely. There's hosting costs. There's, of course, the electric thing, because we are hosting this in Adam's shed. And all winter, we've been running an electric heater, and your electric bill just went way the fuck up.
You
know what I mean?
So we could have some help with that.
Yeah, exactly. And we gotta find a place to put this bike over here that just randomly showed up in the shed.
Well, we'll figure things out.
We need a storage unit with Adam.
We definitely want to thank you for listening to this episode, and continue to share this. Tell your friends,
please.
Megan, tell all your friends out in California.
Megan is going to be so happy. She's gotten 3 shout-outs so far. Thank you,
She's
Megan.
great.
That's 4.
Anybody that likes all of our posts on social media has got to be a great person.
I agree.
Megan, thank you.
I
agree. Thank you, everybody else, for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye. fucking gem.